Hi, everybody. It is me, Delusion Dispeller, live tonight to talk to you about codependency. Somebody requested that I talk about this tonight, so I decided to get my notes together, rehash some old videos, and put together some codependency notes. So I'm just waiting for everybody to arrive that's going to be here tonight, at least a couple people. Reba is messaging me here, talking to me about some crime thing. And I told her I'm not doing criminals anymore. Not going to keep on talking about criminals. But I guess I will discuss it if somebody brings something up. I may browse it over, but I'm not going to get as in depth, hopefully, as I did with the whole Watts thing. Good evening, trolls. Good to see you. Somebody requested that I talk about codependency. So I did my research today, rehashed, reviewed, and I have some notes on it for y'all. Thanks for coming back tonight, by the way. How's everybody doing today? Just found out that my ex-husband is in the hospital. He fell 30 feet from a metal ladder that gave out, and I guess he's got a bruise on his head. He messed up his ribs. He cut open his hand and totally messed up his elbow. So he's going to be, according to the doctors, he will not have the same use of his arm anymore after the surgery is done. It will be in a cast. Probably won't be doing any handyman stuff for a while. So I'm going to have to figure out how to plunge out my drain or something, or just scoop out the drain in the bathtub or the bathtub itself. I don't know. I have to do something because he's going to be out of commission for a while, I'm guessing. So Drano. Yeah, I don't think it's a plugged drain. I just think the type of drain he bought may not be able to hold or let go of the water that's in the tub. So, yeah. I have been looking up some interesting information today because I had to take my husband to the doctor, and he is on an antibiotic for an upper respiratory infection. So it's just been a fun day off, let me tell you. It hasn't really been off at all. I've been driving to doctors and to the store and to the library. And what I found at the library was this really neat book. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's Zero Belly Breakfast. And I got some really awesome ideas for recipes for my breakfast coming up. I had to go buy a carton of eggs because everything in that book has eggs in it. And I love eggs anyway, so it's all good. Very high in choline, very healthy for you. Good source of protein. Ooh, okay, trolls. Sorry to hear that. My husband has pleurisy. It's inflammation of the lining around the lungs. So I have to watch him pretty carefully that he doesn't get overworked or stressed out or too cold, too hot, whatever. Anyways, I do want to talk about this codependency topic tonight, and then we can chat all you want for a couple hours if you want. I'm good with it. Yeah, well, he won't get over the pleurisy. It's not something that you get over. It's just something that, well, the upper respiratory you do. But the pleurisy is something, I guess, that stays. It's not something that goes away. It's just going to have it, according to the doctors. Now, I believe in faith that he can be healed of things, but so far, it hasn't gone away. All right. So anyways, let's talk about codependency, shall we? First of all, codependency, where does it come from? What is this crazy word called codependency? Well, it actually came from, and this is my loose definition of it, it came from living with alcoholics originally, because alcoholics became very dependent on the people to take care of them. And the people that gave the care were the co-dependents, if that makes sense. Is that a good definition? Hopefully I got that right. I don't know. Anyway, so that's where the term originally came from, loosely translated. And there's some characteristics of codependence that you would need to know. First of all, they don't like being alone. They like to be in relationships. They are really into relationships, very, very attached in relationships. And just to kind of give a little bit of shout out, I got this particular information, this first part, from Mayim Bialik's video on codependency. So check her stuff out. She's really good. She played Blossom years ago, and she's also on Big Bang Theory. And I really like her videos a lot. I can relate to a lot of things. They resonate with me. I think that's one of her words, actually. But she's really pretty good with her information that she shares. So I borrowed some of her information tonight. Here's some words to describe a codependent: needy, having poor boundaries, reactive, low self esteem, caretakers, obsessive, controlling, in denial, fixers, and bottomless pits of affection. In other words, no matter what you do, no matter how much you hug them or pay attention to them or spend time with them, it's never enough. And you feel like, oh my gosh, this person's draining me. And yet they keep trying to drain me and there's nothing left to drain. That's kind of the feeling if you're on the receiving end of it. All right. I know I loved Blossom too. It was one of my very favorite shows. Although watching it now, it kind of seems dorky to me. As a kid, it seemed like cool and everything, but now it's just like, okay. So, anyways, like everything, Brady Bunch and all those shows, just kind of lose it for me. All right. It comes from also having, well, mostly having some type of an emotionally abusive parent. They could have narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder. They could have an addiction. They could be into pornography or sexual abuse. All of that stuff can breed codependency in a child. When a child makes the dysfunctional parent happy, that child gets rewarded with attention, love, affection, or maybe even material rewards. And when they don't make the parent happy, when they embarrass them in public, as the parent will often tell them, then they get punished or they have affection withheld from them or something taken from them. So they learn really quickly that they need to make mom happy or dad happy. The parent thinks this is a healthy form of love, but it's actually creating codependency and it is creating performance drive in a child where they believe they're a human doing instead of a human being. They're only as good as their next achievement. They're only as good as the award that they won in school, that kind of thing. So the child's needs, the child learns, are not going to be met if they're not making the parent happy or drawing attention to them or making them feel good about themselves. This child of the codependent is an excellent actress or actor. They will physically look over at the parent to make sure, if somebody asks them, how you doing, what's going on, they'll look at the parent. um ah that's cool, Joe, you stay as long as you can. They look over at the parent to see what their answer should be. They don't know how to answer for themselves because they have to make sure they're meeting the parent's approval. um And I've actually seen kids do this. And it's very disturbing when you see this in a little kid, when you're talking to them and they look over at mommy or daddy to make sure it's okay to answer. Sometimes the mother and father will say, it's okay, you can answer, if they're not narcissistic. If they are narcissistic, they expect the kid to look at them because they're the ones that tell the child how to behave, just like a puppeteer. Okay. They learn to ignore their own needs and wants in order to fulfill those of this dysfunctional parent. Oh, you're welcome, Joe. They know when to accept attention on themselves and when to let all eyes be on the dysfunctional parent as well. A child is going to love their dysfunctional parent, make them feel good about themselves because a child only knows mom and dad almost as God when they're first born. They are the ones that feed them, clothe them, hold them, give them the attention or affection or whatever it is they need. So no matter what they have to do to earn the approval of their parent, they're going to do it. And often children that are abused will even defend the dysfunctional parent. I'm sure many of us have seen this before. So anything that the dysfunctional parent wants, this codependent child learns to give them. There are way too many expectations put on children in these types of situations, and those children grow up very, very fast. They learn very quickly that they almost need to be a junior adult in order to survive in such a situation. They're expected to perform to make the narcissistic parent feel good about him or herself. And like I said, that's conditional love. That's not unconditional love. That is performance based. Human doings, not human beings, star athletes, performers, anything that, oh, thank you. Anything that brings attention to that parent or at least keeps the parent from being mad at them. I learned this when I was with the narcissist because what she did, even though I was an adult, I was 30 something years old. It was only back in 2008, I think. I learned really quickly that in order to meet her approval, I had to behave in certain ways, and everybody around her had to. Um, you learned quickly that there were certain people you could run to if there was a problem, and certain people you didn't dare. You just found that out real quickly. And I learned that basically she turned me into a pseudo child. She basically flipped the tables and turned me into a little junior version of her. And then she became the controlling mother and began controlling me while I was at her house and bossing me around like she was my mom. It was very uncomfortable, but most of all, the treatment that I got that kind of rang a bell for me that, uh-oh, I better not do this because that doesn't make her look good and that's going to upset her. And then we're going to have a big meltdown and her husband's going to have to go and buy her something from the store to calm her down. So I better just try to avoid rocking the apple cart, so to speak, upsetting the apple cart. So somebody in a codependent relationship learns to stuff down their emotions. They sacrifice their innocence of childhood in these type of families in order to please the adult that really should be taking care of them. They take care of the adult and they make sure that they are always one step ahead of the adult, make sure the adult doesn't get upset. In fact, the narcissist in my life, when her mother would come in, everybody should literally drop what they're doing, all eyes on the mother, the matriarch of the family, and that's it. You had her coffee ready for her. You had her chair pulled out for her as soon as she walked in the house. And even if you were a stranger, you were supposed to somehow end up figuring this out for yourself. I had never been to her house ever, never even met the mother in person. Hi, Sandy. And I was berated because I was sitting with my back turned around on a computer when her mother came because they were talking about church stuff. They were pastors of a church. So I thought I'll be respectful and let them, have their private behavior time, whatever, not behavior, but their private time to discuss the behaviors of people in the church. And I'll just be respectful. And I got ripped a new one as soon as she left. When my mother comes, we pull the chair out for her. We have her coffee ready. She takes 2 creams. She takes 1 sugar. And we all know how to do that. I'm like, I don't even know how to run a coffee maker. What? Nobody ever taught you how to make coffee? No, I don't drink coffee. Oh my gosh. Well, we need to teach you how to do that right away because when mom comes, all things stop and everybody pays attention to her. I'm like, okay, wow. Yeah, never saw that before. Never saw that coming either. Wow. So you can tell that there was some codependent behaviors being formed in that family in this lady that was my mentor at the time. Very, very disturbing. All right. Anyways, and her mother told me, oh, she grew up really fast. She never wanted to play with dolls or do anything that kids do. She just wanted to be cooking in the kitchen and doing all the stuff that grown up women do. That's not healthy for a child. You need to go through those paces and grow into an adult, not just be born and bam, you just want to run around and start baking things. I mean, that's not normal. All right. So the child grows into the caretaker parent, which she was. She took care of her younger sister and grew to resent her younger sister because she didn't get to have a childhood. She had to be the mom because her mom worked all the time. And her dad was an alcoholic. So she really didn't have a healthy situation going on there. And they tend to become the caretaker of the parents when they're older because of that. I have to be honest, in my life, there were problems, and I've admitted this before to y'all, where my eldest daughter felt she had to be more the parent than me. I kind of checked out because I was being abused by the narcissistic ex-husband who was my husband at the time, did not know how to handle it, was very, very withdrawn and pulled away and got lost online on the internet and became enmeshed in the internet and in people's lives and families. That's how I met the narcissistic mentor and the borderline person that I mentored. Um, that happens, and it did happen. So my daughter had to kind of take over with her sisters, and she had to grow up pretty quick for a few years. So I'm guilty as charged. I'm not a narcissist, but I definitely had some codependency issues going on. My needs were not being met, and therefore I pulled away. I just slunk away and did not know how to handle things. So she will tell you to this day, yes, I took care of my younger sisters for a while. She takes full ownership of that, and I let her own it. Thank you, Joe. So they become mini parents who parent their siblings, and they become caregivers. Small wonder my daughter ended up in mental health as a medical assistant, taking care of people. People come to her for advice. She's a great mediator, a great listener. This is another trait of codependence. Um, they become great listeners, servants, givers at the expense of themselves sometimes. A lot of times they marry people that are very needy, so their own needs are not getting met. Codependents can shut off emotions or turn them on as they need to be because they learned this from being around the dysfunctional parent. They learned how to diffuse things so that the parent would not explode, abuse, or punish them or somebody in the family. They look for people to hook up with that are a lot like their abusive parent. Why would they do this? They're already miserable from the abuse they got from their parent. You know why? Because if they met someone who was not controlling and manipulative, I don't think they would quite know how to handle it. They go towards the familiar. That's why when I married my husband, who was very controlling and very manipulative and very abusive, like my controlling, domineering stepdad. It's very common that that happens because in our minds, there's a psychological thing that we do where we try to relive our past over and over until we get it right. So we just keep on a trying and it never gets right because it's not right. It's toxic and it's dysfunctional. So we may end up with somebody that has borderline personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, and other dysfunctional problems. Now, that's all I actually have on codependency. That's basically all there is to it. You have a need to be needed. So you hook up in relationships with people that are either dysfunctional or very ill. So they become totally dependent on you because you get your self worth through being a caretaker. If you can't take care of somebody, you feel useless. It's all you've ever known. The best thing I can suggest for codependency is a book by Melody Beattie called The Language of Letting Go. I wish I would have written that book because it is that excellent. It is a daily read. You can open it up and read one page a day or a couple pages a day. It's not hard to read, and it really gives you something to grasp onto that you can let other people own their stuff. If somebody's angry at you, you don't have to take that on as, oh my gosh, I must be such a terrible person. They're so angry at me. Oh my gosh, what did I do? I don't deserve to live anymore. No, you say, okay, they're choosing to be angry right now. Maybe there's something I can do to change, their reaction a little bit. Maybe I did make them, kind of irritated or whatever. So I'll try not to do that again. But you can't walk on eggshells because that's not healthy. That's dysfunctional and toxic. How to Break Your Addiction to a Person is another really highly, highly recommended book. That is by Howard L. Halpern, and it's probably one of the best books I've ever read. Those two books, besides the Bible, which also talks about healthy relationships in the book of Proverbs and other places, and explains unhealthy relationships in other places. So even if you're not a Christian or a Bible person, you can still get stuff out of the Bible because there's a lot of really good stories that relate to today, even though it was like way, way, way long time ago. There's a lot of good stories and examples in the Bible that show you what happens when you hook up with dysfunctional people. So it might be a good idea to pick one up and read and find out what I'm talking about. And if you need some help with that, let me know because I'm pretty good with that. I'm a fixer. I am definitely a fixer. However, I am a fixer with boundaries. That's the other thing. Codependent people, they never met a boundary that they like. They don't like boundaries. They would rather just, come what may. We'll just go with the flow. We'll just do what we're going to do. If I think they need help, I'm going to help them, even if it might not be healthy for me, because they need me. And where would they be without me? See, that's why you've heard me a lot of times say, I really don't care what people think. It's not that I don't care what you think. It's that I'm not going to let it get in here. It's not going to form what I think about me, is what I mean. And I'm not going to feel like I have to fix everybody's problems. If I don't have an answer, I'm going to tell you, nope, that's not in my job description. I don't have that information. I'll refer you to somebody that has it. I really don't have all the answers. I know a lot about a lot of things, but I don't know everything. I really don't. And it's not my job to fix your life. It's your job to fix your life, and it's your job to make choices that help lead you in that direction. I'm a facilitator. I'm a coach, not a counselor, not a therapist. I'm a coach, which means I can give you the direction to go in. I can give you ideas of what might work and what's worked for me, but it's up to you to implement those ideas. So that's the difference. Counselors will sit there day after day after day just listening to you go on and on about how miserable you are. They might cry with you. Not saying I won't cry with people because I have done that. But honestly, that's really not me. Okay. You are not a turd. Oh gosh, no, 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 no. You're not a turd. Because people don't compliment you. Well, that's when you have to have that belief in yourself from within and from God, if you know God. If you don't know him, I encourage you to try to find some way to get to know him because he's pretty cool about the compliments. He's awesome about giving compliments. In fact, when I was with the narcissist at a time, um, when I was feeling really low, she said to me, well, Father must be really disappointed in you right now. He is very, very upset with you for what you said. And the fact that you're calling me on the carpet on the Bible and stuff, when my dad is a pastor and I'm a minister, how dare you? Do you really think Father is pleased with you? I looked at her. Well, I didn't look at her. I was on the phone. I said, actually, yes, I do. What? How could he be? I said, well, I hear his voice. And what I hear is, I'm really pleased with you. I'm really honored that you said that. You're a good person. I can see that you're really trying hard. Just put it in my hands. It'll work out. That's all I ever hear from God. I don't hear any voice of condemnation like I've heard in some of the comments that people have made on this very channel, which I've been deleting left and right, by the way, lately. Some of the rude, crude, really gross things that people can say when they disagree with your viewpoint or they don't like who you are or they don't like where you came from, they don't like where you live, they don't like how you do your house or your hair or whatever. They can be really mean. And if I didn't have a strong sense of self-worth and if I needed to fix everything or be a people pleaser, oh my gosh, I wouldn't have a channel because I'd have to get off of here because I'd be like, oh my gosh, they just said they don't like my hair. I better go and get my hair done. I better go get my hair colored or something or cut it a different way. Or, oh, they don't like my clothes. I better put on a different dress or put on a different shirt. That's what it's like living with somebody that's narcissistic and controlling. You feel like you never measure up. You can't make your own choices. And you can always tell a person that in their childhood was not allowed to make choices because as adults, they expect you to decide everything for them. You go out to eat with them and they're like, you say, okay, so what'll you have? What are you having? Just decide on what you want to have. What do you mean? What am I having? Well, I'm just waiting to see what you're going to have and then I'll have the same thing. No. What do you like? Well, I don't know. They don't know what they like. They were never given that choice. So then you help them through it and say, okay, well, let's look at this stuff. Have you ever had this? Oh, yeah, I like chicken. So do you like it with honey on it or do you like it with barbecue? I'm not really sure. Okay, we'll get a little bit of each. You can try it and we're going to start learning what you like because you're going to stop letting everybody else order your food. That's what I do as a coach. That's the kind of stuff I do. I don't sit there and say, oh, honey, I'm so sorry. You must have gone through such trauma to not know what you want to order. Oh, here, let me order it for you. No, that's not helping the person at all. That's not what a coach does. That might be what a counselor does, but then the counselor will charge you however much an hour and send you home, not knowing what to do next, usually. And you're sitting there going, okay, that was a nice session. I feel like everything's been exposed and like now I feel worse than I did before I went in, or maybe you feel better than when you went in, but you really don't feel like you have any direction on what do I do next, at least from my experience. Like I said, not all counselors are like that, but almost every actual counselor I went to was pretty much that way, unless they were also the coaching type of counselor, and then they could point me in the right direction. So anyhow, that's a little bit about me and a little bit about codependency. hopefully that kind of painted a picture of what codependency is about. And what you need to do is get a hold of those books I told you about, The Language of Letting Go and How to Break Your Addiction to a Person. And that will really get you in the right direction. That will teach you what is yours to own and what isn't, and how you can't control the world and you can't please everybody. And it's okay to set boundaries and not hang out with Mary Jo every day at the same time, even though Mary Jo wants you to. Yeah. You were the ghost whisperer? What on earth is that all about, Tamara? Wow. Or Tamara. That's crazy. Wow, the ghost whisperer. What would a ghost whisperer be? That's definitely a new one on me. I know what a horse whisperer is, or like a dog whisperer. Oh. Oh, I'm sorry, Tamara. That's sad. Sorry to hear that. I'm not sorry to hear that. I'm sorry that happened. I hate that term. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm not sorry to hear it. I'm glad you told me. I'm sorry that happened. Oh, she committed suicide. Oh, wow. That's terrible. Gosh. How old were you? She was 20, and how old were you? Aw. Okay. Good night. Good night, Joe. Thanks for coming in. Oh, I'm sweating. I'm glad you like the scarf, but I'm dying here. I think we turned the heat on again. So off it comes. That was a nice of a fashion, enough of a nice fashion statement. We're done with that now. You were 22. Oh, wow. I'm really sorry that that happened. So she thought you could kind of have your sister talk through you or something? Is that what she was telling you? Yeah, there are some kooky so-called counselors out there. I knew one counselor that was really making this one girl's life a living nightmare. And she was turning her against all her friends and telling her she could only talk to her. And it was really crazy. That's not a healthy relationship with a counselor at all. So those are not the kind you want to have. I'm reading your comments here. Yeah, I could imagine you thought you were hallucinating. That would be totally crazy and nutty. I look like I have some kind of horns coming out my head. That's actually the hanger for our clothes that broke in half. Yes, I can believe that because there was a guy over on Pale Talk years ago that convinced me I had dissociative identity disorder and multiple personalities. And he had me talking for like all these little people. And pretty soon I was like, wait a minute, there's nothing wrong with me. Why am I going along with these suggestions? The power of the mind is very, very strong. Remember that. People can hypnotize you. They can use power of suggestion to make you believe certain things. That's why it's very, very, very important for you to have a strong inner core and a knowledge of who you really are. Because if you don't, what do they say? If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. You have to have some sort of belief system and morals and values that are you, so that when other people come along with their goofiness, you're not led astray or start believing stuff that you don't need to be believing. Yep. Anyway, that's all I got on my end for y'all. Do you want to talk about anything else? I know the Watts situation is getting very, very old. And then couple people started bringing me some other murder trials, and I'm like, no, I don't want to go there again. That was a nightmare. Oh my gosh. I mean, more could come out about the mistress or something maybe, but until I hear something that really, you know, trips my trigger or whatever, I'm not really in any enthusiastic hurry to get back into that again. That was just a very nightmarish experience for pretty much everybody, I would say, no matter if you're pro or against any of them. It just really gripped everybody's heart. And then there were no winners. There's people dead now because of that. And it's not fun to sit and, talk about that kind of stuff. No, there's no winners in that. It's just so sad. Very, very sad to me. I don't know. I will say one thing, and I'm not saying this to gossip at all because I'll talk to her about it too, I'm sure. I was watching Wife Swap with Mrs. Golightly on it. That's not her real name, but I really saw her heart. I really saw a side of her that impressed me. I was really blessed. I cried. I mean, it was amazing. It touched my heart so deeply, and it was beautiful. And I love Wife Swap. That's like one of my very favorite shows. I like that one and Trading Spouses. Did I have a good day? Well, I guess you have to define that. Yeah, Molly, it was really something. And that lady that was a so-called Christian, rude. Oh my, very rude and mean. Can see why people don't want to be called Christians, including me, because that type of person is what people think of when they think of Christians. People that are cold-hearted, judgmental, like rudely judgmental, and just mean, and don't try to find similarities. What was really cool was Mrs. Golightly's husband. I don't know if she's still with him or not, but he was trying to find similarities when the lady came and stayed with them. I thought that was very, very awesome because that's what I try to do. If there's somebody that I don't understand their way or I don't agree with it, I try to find what we do have in common. Would I trade my spouse? I'd try it for a little while. Send him somewhere else and let a guy come here and stay. Sure, why not? Just to see what the other lifestyle is like. Or I'd go there and stay, and then their wife could come here and stay with my husband. Sure, why not? Just for like a show. There'd be cameras on us all the time, though. There wouldn't be anything going on, that's not on camera, because that would be cool. Yeah, a learning experience to learn how the other side lives and maybe get some ideas for your own family. And what was happy about the whole thing was in the end, they did really learn something from each other. More so, Mrs. Golightly learned more than because she was more open to it than that closed minded so called Christian was. I didn't, that didn't impress me the way that lady was behaving at all. But I was impressed with Mrs. Golightly, very much so. And if I could see more of that side of her on her videos, that would be awesome. I'd sit in her room a lot more than I do. So, because she really has a sweet heart. She really does, or did at least at that time. I don't know her now, but no one is going to switch places with you if they're in their right mind. Well, I've dealt with autistic children, so I know what you're dealing with. Aw, yeah, those days can be rough. I understand. I do understand that. I mean, I don't understand it as far as and know what you're dealing with as far as I have autistic children because I didn't. Excuse me. But I have taken care of autistic children. You like it when go lightly goes lightly. Yeah, Lee, that's a good way to put it. That's true. But it just made me realize that, we have personas online and yes, I really am who I am offline, online. It's not a false persona. But other people have their videos and they're showy and they act goofy and, just crazy. And I have my moments when I do that. But if you got to know them as people, they may be really surprising to you. Everybody has hopes and dreams and hurts and things that make them human, including her. And it was just really impressive to see that side of her. Yes, that's right, Tamara, I do. Well, not so much autistic, no. Behavioral. Hello, just me. Oh, hey, Sandy. Hi. I have so enjoyed emailing you back and forth. I'm really glad you reached out to me and we could clear up whatever the heck was going on there. Because all this stuff with the Chris Watts stuff has been nutty for everybody. Thank you, Tamara. I try. I'm genuine, that's for sure. Oh, let's spy on my hubby a minute. I don't know if you can see what he's watching. You probably can't. It's too bright. He's got some little yellow figure dancing around on the screen.
Vegemon.
Vegemon. Okay, Vegemon. Sounds like something Jamaican. Jamaican mon. Yeah, sometimes we're chilled and sometimes we get a little rowdy. My husband's always chilled. Right now he's not feeling good, so
Except
he's
for
very
stupid
chilled.
at the doctor's offices.
I know. Yeah, he had a rough time at the doctor today. We got there and it wasn't open yet. Wasn't opening till 2 hours later. So we sat there.
2.5.
Oh, we didn't sit there. We went to the library 2.5 hours later. Oh, we went to the library and I printed out a paper that I need to turn in for my job or my schooling to go back to school at college. And after that, we went back over to the place. We sat there for what, an hour and a half, another 2 hours, something like that.
When we went back to the doctor's
Yeah.
office, it was about an hour.
About an hour. We're sitting there going, when are they going to call us? When are they going to call us? They finally call him up and tell him, we're sorry, we don't accept your insurance. You need to go to this place. So we went to the other place. Thankfully, we got in probably within 20 minutes, I would say, at the most. And turned out he had an upper respiratory infection.
Right,
so.
But what pissed me off is they just seen me a week before with my insurance.
Yeah, that was the weird thing. That other place had just seen him a week before that with his same insurance and accepted him. I don't know. I give up. With these insurance things, it's so confusing. And the copays are sky high. Tamara says, feel better, hubby. He's trying. Aw. Oh, Molly, I'm sorry. You don't have friends? But I do understand how that is. When we moved out here from New York, little tiny town, not my husband now, but my first husband and I moved out here, and we had 2 children at the time. Yeah, 2 children. My one daughter was like 2 years old. My other daughter was, I don't remember, how old was she? 7? No, 2. Hang on a minute. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, my eldest daughter was 11. Then my next eldest was 6. And my youngest was 2 at the time. And then Amber was born when we moved out here. But it was like major, major culture shock. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know how to make friends. I didn't know if it was safe to reach out. I was scared. It was really, culture shock is something really weird. And I never had it again after that. But man, was that strange. It was a whole year's worth of it. Oh, yeah, true, Tamara. Tamara says it's the time of the year where the providers are joining and leaving the networks, like the doctors and stuff. Mm-hmm. She used to work in insurance. So it's possible they took his insurance a week ago and don't today, but it could also be human error. Yeah, that's probably true. Plenty of friends at different times in my life got hurt and took advantage of, so I just learned to keep to myself.
That's what I do.
Welcome, welcome. Yeah, that's hard. And when you can't trust people, it's very, oh, thank you. Thanks, Sandy. It's hard to make friends when you don't know if they're going to stab you in the back the next time you turn around. And a lot of people do that. Oh, wow, KK. I gotcha. Sheesh. So, yeah, sometimes it does feel better to just keep to yourself. Oh, that's nice. Tamara just found some new friends. Well, and we're going to be making friends at our new church, I think, eventually. But we had our church service canceled on Sunday because of the snow. So that was another week we didn't get to be there. Kind of got to be there to meet people, you know. And I'm not sure who I trust yet at my church. I've been really hurt in churches more than anywhere else, in churches or by church people. So I'm very, very hesitant to reach out and try to pull people close to me. I just don't trust very well. with good reason. Yeah, that's true, Tamara. Anytime you have children that have any type of challenge that stand out from other kids or other people, that will tend to make them go the other way and act like, or they act like they're being nice to you and you can tell it's an act. That's almost worse than them avoiding you, I think, sometimes, because it's like so phony. You're like, oh, you just hugged me or said hi just because you're expected to, because you're supposed to, not because you really genuinely want to connect with me. I know how that is. Yes, exactly, Emily. It's okay to be discerning and observant. Hi, Emily. Have I met you before? I don't think you've been in here before, or maybe one other time, but not on a regular basis. So welcome in. Yeah, I'm not phony. I don't like phony. No, people will walk up to you and say, "Hey, how are you doing today?" Like even at my job, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I'm sitting there thinking, do you want the actual answer or do you want me just say the typical answer of, "Oh, I'm fine," and walk on by you? And most of the time they just want the fine and walk on by because they really don't want to know. They don't want to know what your issues are, what you're dealing with, what you're about to do after work, or what's happening in your family. Number one, they feel it's intrusive to try to find that out. Number two, if you give them information, then they're responsible to hold on to that information and not spread it around everywhere. And some people don't have a real easy time doing that. And number three, ain't nobody got time for all that, basically. They just really don't want to take the time to get to know you like that. Yes, I'm learning that, Emily. Yes, very true. I had to learn that the hard way most of my life. I lacked discretion for a long, long, long time till it got me in a lot of trouble. And it was a pastor's wife that said, "Honey, you need to pray for God to give you discretion." And yes, I did pray for that. And I do much, much better than I used to do. But sometimes I slip up. And boy, does it bite me in the tail end when I do. Oh, that's great. A support group is an excellent idea. I am all for support groups. The only thing that I hesitate about is if you join like AA and stuff like that, sometimes you become dependent on the group instead of on the substance that you're dealing with. So, addictions of any kind are not good. Total dependence on any one thing is not good, except God. Is it okay to ask how old you are? Like, are you asking me that, or are you asking me if it's okay to ask people that? Are you asking how old I am, Emily? Yes, there are predators in 12-step programs. Very excellent point. I'm 52 years old. Or if you say 52 years young. 52. 5'2". 5'2". 52. Yep, I just turned 52 years old. 58 for Sandy. Awesome, Sandy. I'm glad you're happy. Hope I'm happy like I am now at 58. 45 on the 5th of December. Okay. I know most of the people that come into my live chats or comment on my videos and stuff seem to be like in their 40-year-old range or 50s. Seems to be the people that I appeal to, so which is fine. I have a couple people that are like in their 20s and 30s, but most people haven't really lived enough life, I think, in their 20s to really understand or connect with what I'm talking about. Yep. That's awesome. 6 children. I wanted 5, but I ended up with 4 daughters. That's okay though. They're good girls for the most part. Not really. My cousin has 11 children, so that's a lot. All girls, yes. Mm-hmm. I have one that's 34. No, 33. And then one that's 29, 24, and 19. If I got those ages right. Then I have a grandson that's 14 and a granddaughter that's like 11 or 12. Yeah, I know. They grow up, they move out, they get busy with their lives, and it's hard to stay connected, isn't it? I understand. Oh, awesome. All graduates. Wonderful. Well, my first daughter is a graduate and a medical assistant. Second daughter is a manager at Walmart. Third daughter works at Menards, which is a, what do you call it, hardware store, a large hardware store. And the youngest daughter is away at college. Oh, okay, Tamara. A girl 22, boy 17, boy 14. Nice. Very nice family. Ugh. Yeah, we all kind of have similar families, huh? Few kids, spaced apart, pretty good. Some grandchildren, maybe. Oh, government. Okay. That's an important job. Somewhat of a scary job, I would say. I wouldn't want to work for the government. I'm doing good, Susan. How are you? You'll have to catch the beginning of the video if you want to learn about codependency. I talked about that in the beginning. Pretty much talked out on the codependency issue. Trying to think about what I want to eat because I'm getting kind of hungry and it is getting late, but I want to eat something light because I am kind of hungry. Oh, I bet, Molly. Teenagers are something else, aren't they? Oh, excuse me. Oh, that's awesome, Sandy. Yeah, my half sister is a plastic surgeon. Twin sons at college. Nice. Thank you, Susan. That's awesome. You're 53 with 4 kids, twin girls and all teenagers. Wonderful, Shireen. Hey, hi. I don't think we've met at all in here. I don't think you've ever been in my live chat, have you? Oh, I'm sorry, Sandy. I'll be right back. I'm going to get some munchies.
You're making some more.
Thank you so much. What do you want to eat?
I'll probably just have more of those meatballs.
Mm.
I don't want to really eat any carbs.
Right. Oh, hey, Linda.
And those I can throw in the microwave.
Hey, Linda. I don't know what part of Buffalo you're from, but have you heard of Bailey Avenue, Delavan, Langmeyer? Any of those streets sound familiar? Kermit? Doris was another one. I am so sorry, Sandy. What's Zers? Is that a disease? I've never heard of that. What on earth? Things, weird pop-ups are coming up. Linda, have you heard any of those streets that I just mentioned in Buffalo? Somebody posted about the blizzard of 77 on my epileptic. Oh wow. Anyway, somebody posted about the blizzard of 77 on my Facebook page, and man, could I remember that.
Me too.
You were not born yet.
Are you sure?
Oh, you're from Australia. Awesome. My daughter and I were just talking about what's his name? Robert Irwin, the crocodile hunter's son, and Bindi Irwin. My daughter has a mad crush on Robert Irwin. She wants to marry somebody like that. She wants an Australian. Oh, seizures. Okay. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Canada. Okay. Been to Canada. I don't think I've ever been to Calgary. Been to Niagara Falls, Toronto, Ontario. Aw. Thank you. I try to be warm-hearted. I'm afraid some of those comments originally, like a couple weeks ago, were getting under my skin, though. You're in love with Keith Urban? Hmm. I'd say there's a lot of nice people that look like him that you could be in love with. He's not bad looking. Seems like a pretty decent guy. It is cold today and snowing out here. Well, it was snowing out.
Now it's just really windy.
Yeah, I know that's you and Keith Urban in your picture. Is that really you and Keith Urban? I mean, is that a real picture of the two of you together, or did you splice it and stick them on in there next to you? I was wondering about that when I saw it. Oh, a meet and greet. Cool. So you really did meet him and got your picture taken with him. That's pretty cool. Is he married? I didn't even know if he was married or had a girlfriend or single or what. Oh, your youngest son's dad looks like Keith Urban. That's cool. Wow. John Fogerty. I'm not sure I know who John Fogerty is. Oh, he's married to Nicole Kidman. That's right. And has 2 daughters. Yes. That's true. I remember seeing that now in a magazine. Forgot about that. Well, I think we'll stay open till 7 o'clock, and then I will shut down unless you all have something pertinent or important eating away at you to talk about. You're 53. Okay. And I'm 52. Linda, did any of those streets that I mentioned sound familiar to you in Buffalo, New York? Mrs. Golightly's on in 8 minutes. Okay, I'll probably be popping in there and telling her that I saw her wife swap show from back in 4 years ago, actually, I think. 50s are awesome. Best age. I don't know. It's an age. I don't know if it's the best age. It's not my favorite. I felt better probably in my 20s or 30s, but I'll take it. Whatever. Life goes on. You can't really stop age. It's just one of those things, you know. Grow old gracefully, like the hair dyeing commercials always said. Allergies suck. Yeah, that's true. They do. My husband agrees. You wish you were in your 30s again? Yeah.
That's not that big of a deal.
My husband's in his 30s. He's 35.
We think.
You are. He's a young'un
I feel it.
with an old heart. Or is it an old soul? I think they say an old soul. Yeah, my son. Yeah, sure. My daughter is 33. Susan says hello. Susan
Hi.
Perea. She always says hello when she comes in here on my live chats. He says hey. Oh, cool, Linda. You don't feel 50s, Sandy? I don't either. I never feel my age. I feel like I'm still in my 30s or something. Some days I feel like I'm in my later 20s. I don't feel like a kid anymore, but I definitely do not feel like I'm in my 50s. And I'm moving around pretty good for being 52. Five minutes, y'all. What should we say or do or whatever? 5 minutes. I don't think Reba ever made it in here. She has some company over, I think, tonight. You don't feel too old unless you realize you don't know the current singers. Well, watch The Voice and
be really old.
right. Watch The Voice and watch X Factor and all those things, and you'll hear all the current music and wish that you could go back to your other music. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, I can't stand the modern music, what they call music. Don't like it. Hey, I was glad about something though. I heard that now I still have my opinion about Mr. Watts myself, but the music he was listening to by Metallica, where they sing Cannot Kill the Family or Can't Kill the Family, everybody thought that that had to do with why he did what he did to his family. And then somebody had explained that were those lyrics in that song were not about that. They were about can't kill the family of rock and roll, like the Rockstar family. So I felt a little bit better to know that that lyric was not what I thought it meant. But nonetheless, it was still horrendous, everything that happened with that. Oh, cool. Speech therapy. That's a good course to take. You do watch The Voice, but you don't know who is in popular music these days. Night night. Heading off? Or are you telling me to say night night because I'm gonna be heading off? At 7 I will. Yeah, I don't know. What's CCR? John Fogerty is CCR. What's CCR? Not sure what that is. Is that country something? Oh, duh. Creedence Clearwater Revival. Okay. Gotcha. Don't remember what they sing, but I remember hearing them growing up. Oh, you're from North Buffalo. I've heard of North Buffalo, but I don't remember what's up in North Buffalo. I think I've been to North Buffalo, actually. There was a church, I think, called the Bread of Life back in the day. Don't know if they're still there or not, but I'm pretty sure they were from North Buffalo or in North Buffalo. Oh, that's all right, Reba. Cool. Did your company make it there okay, your visitors? Do, 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 looking out my back door. Yeah, I remember that. Love Dogs, how did you find the wrench icon? I think it automatically goes on there. Yeah, I like rock and roll. Some rock and roll. Cheating. You're funny, KK. She's my moderator. She gets the wrench. She's Mrs. Fix-It. If people come in and start monkeying around and knocking stuff all over, she fixes it up again. That's why she's got the wrench. Evening Storms, how are you doing? Good to see you. Hey, have you talked to Mrs. Analyzer? Is she going to have a group on tonight? She's going to have her live show on? She hasn't emailed me or talked to me yet today, so I wasn't sure. Because I'd like to pop in on her. I have watched her other groups today, though. Pretty good stuff. Oh, you're welcome, Sandy. I'm glad you could make it. We got 1 minute, y'all. 6:59. We're going to close out at 7. Worked out perfectly. Might just get to watch that movie after all if we want to still. Oh, good night, Molly. Good to see you tonight. Take it easy, girl. We'll get some rest. I have to go to work tomorrow, so I'm definitely going to be getting some rest at a good hour tonight. Oh, not a problem, KK. Glad to provide it. Which movie are we watching? Something Asians.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Something about Asians. It's supposed to be a comedy about an Asian girl that dates some guy that's not Asian, and he learns her customs and stuff.
I'm pretty sure they're both Asian.
Oh, they're both Asian? Oh, never mind. I guess they're both Asian. I don't know. Anyway, it's 7 o'clock. I am going to sign on out. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. It's good to meet new people. Be sure and subscribe if you haven't. I like to have new subscribers so I can keep in touch and you don't miss all my videos that I come out with when I come out with them, especially my live ones. All right. Blessings, everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you next time. Bye.